All right, so we leave that out for now. I really wanted you guys to see me while I talk. All right, so we're doing online CSEC POA classes. Yes, you can study at home and pass your POA exams. And you guys will let me know at the end of this session, you know, what you think about it. If you think it's easy for you to pass it and study it online. If you need to connect with me, you can connect with me via email at learn@taa@gmail.com, and TAA is just short for the Accounting Academy. So learn@taa@gmail.com. You can connect with me on Facebook as well, Instagram, and my WhatsApp number is here to the bottom, 709-6136. So there are a variety of ways you could connect with me and ask me any questions that you may have. I will be posting replays on, we have an online portal, so I'll be posting replays on the online portal. I'll send you a link for that via email so that you can go back and look at the videos, right? I actually want you to go back and look at the video and try and follow the worksheets that we will send you as well. So today we're gonna cover the exam structure, the main reason for keeping accounting records. We're also gonna cover the difference between bookkeeping and accounting. We're going to cover computerized accounting, types of jobs that you can get in the accounting field, stakeholders, types of businesses, and we're also going to look at some international accounting terms because accounting is a global field, right? And ACCA is the body that governs that field. So they have certain things in place. No matter what country you're from, they want things done in a particular way. There's a reason for me not sending worksheets to you guys before. And I just want to explain a little bit about how the brain works. I did tell you guys that I'm a life coach, right? It's important for us to revisit information so that it can stay in our memory. I did maths over 18 years ago, and I could basically pick up any CXC paper now, and I could do a lot of questions. I did POA more than 10 years ago, and I could pick up papers, and I can go through it, and I can answer the question. In your case, I'm sure you can do first year, second year, standard one, even standard five work pretty easy because you have covered the material over and over. What happens if we just touch on the information once, right? Our brain say, okay, this information came in. Then if we don't go and revisit that information, what happens is the brain thinks that is not useful, is not necessary, and the brain will discard it. So once you just listen to it, or you see it, or you write it once, the brain will say, okay, let me store this in temporary memory. If you keep going back to that material, it's going to carry it across the permanent memory. And then after a while, it will be anchored in your brain that you don't need to keep going back to it after over and over again. But you see that first instant, if you just have interaction with information once, your brain is going to store it in temporary memory, and then it's going to discard it if you don't go back to it. That's why that's why teachers give you homework, so you could revisit the information, right? So we're going to go through the session today. I'm going to give you guys access to the online portal free for the next 2 weeks. And I'll also send you worksheets. You go through the worksheets, you'll revisit the video, and you'll see how you could fill out the worksheets. You can actually try filling out the worksheet from just your bare memory. Some of the things you may not have to go back to the video too, right? So that's just a little nugget there on how the brain works. And even if it's not POA you're doing, anything you're doing, if you hear a number now, somebody give you their number. If you don't revisit that number, if you don't try to remember it again, if you don't bring it back to your memory, you're going to forget about it, right? Let me know if that makes sense, if you understand that in the chat box. I'm not getting my this chat box here to show me alone. I only wanted to show me alone. I don't want to show everybody else. So, okay, let's move along. Topics to cover. Now, it's important for you to know, it's important for you to know what topics you have to cover. It's very important. No matter what we're doing, that we must have an aim. You must have a goal, right? If you're leaving your house and you're going to Shogunas is the goal. Getting to Shogunas is the goal, right? If you don't have a goal, you're just going to be wandering. You're going to be driving all around and you're not going to know where you're going because you don't have a goal. When it comes to any subject that you're studying, it's important to know what the syllabus covers, what are the topics that you have to cover, how much time you should even try to spend on each topic. So POA has 14 chapters, 14 different topic areas, right? I particularly like this textbook. You can tell me in the comments what textbook you guys are using, right? Because they broke down each part of the syllabus into a chapter. So we have introduction to POA, we have the balance sheet, we have the books of original entry, and it goes straight down to non-profit organization and payroll, right? It's important for you to have a target. It's important for you to also measure your success, measure your progress, and celebrate your wins. So let's say you have 14 topics up on your board to get done. You get one done. Treat yourself. Do something nice. Even if it's to do a happy dance in a room or whatever. Once you complete one topic, you read out the chapter, you do the questions, celebrate it, take it off, and move on to the other one. These little things do help you keep you motivated. But at least to me, and a lot of the other persons that I interact with as well. So 14 topics could sound like a lot. It could sound like, oh my gosh, how the hell am I going to get this done? Right? But I have a nice little breakdown here to show you. If you do 14 topics and you spend approximately 2 weeks on a topic, that's going to take you 28 weeks. 28 weeks divided by 4, that's approximately 7 months. Now these are average timing, right? So even if you say 14 weeks, 14 topics, multiplied by 3 weeks, that's going to take you 42 weeks. So that's approximately 10 and a half, let's say 11 months. Now, some topics you're not going to spend 2 weeks on, some topics you're going to spend more than 2 weeks on. Now, this is just an average, a guide to show you, okay, if I spend 2 weeks, I could cover it in 7 months, right? If I'm in Form 5, if I'm going in Form 5 or should be going in Form 5 in September, I have approximately 9 months, right? September, October, November, December, you check it for yourself. September to me is approximately 9 months. So if you're going into Form 5, you should be targeting down what topics you need to do, how much time you need to spend to ensure that you cover it. If you do 2 weeks a topic, that's 7 months, that leaves you with about 2 months to just go over and to do past papers, etc. If you're in Form 4, well, you have it nice because you could get to cover the topics twice. You could cover it in Form 4, and then you could come back and cover it in Form 5. If you're a mature student and you want to do it in January, bro or sis, we done in August already. You may have to spend like a day or two on a topic or something like that, right? This is just me showing you how you could span out your study time so that they ensure that you cover the entire syllabus. All right, the next thing that we must have in mind when we are targeting, what is the exam structure like? So many times I ask students, well, what's the exam structure like? They don't have a clue. I may ask how much topics they have to cover. They also don't have a clue. And that's not a good place to start. You want to know, you must have a goal in mind. Think about this. If you shooting at an aim, let's say I have an arrow on the screen. You're targeting an arrow, you're shooting an arrow at something. If you're blindfolded, if your eyes are closed, if you don't know where the target is or what the target is, what's the possibility of hitting that target? You will tell me in the comments, what's in the chat? I keep saying comments because I'm so accustomed to IG and Facebook, right? But tell me in the chat room, what is the possibility of hitting that target if you don't know what the target is, if you can't see the target, if tell me what's the possibility of hitting that target? Shamira says none, Daniel says 0 to 1, very good. Yeah, if you don't know what the target is, you can't see the target, it's highly unlikely that you're going to hit the target. So you guys going to write POA, you need to know what the target is. The target is you have 14 topics to cover. You have 3 exams to do basically. Paper 1 is 60 questions, 60 marks. Paper 2 is 5 compulsory questions, 100 marks and 3 hours. Paper 3 is broken up into um, paper 3-1, that's a regular school-based assessment if you're doing it in your group as a group project in your school. And then we have paper 3-2, which is an alternative to the school-based assessment. This is for private candidates, and it consists of 20 compulsory short answer questions. So they're more like case studies. And that is going to be 40 marks, or 1.5 exam. But I just want to touch on the timing here because I know some students, they have a lot of problem. Even with a double period, they are bored before you're halfway through the double period or 3/4 way through the double period, they're bored. Double periods are important for you to get to sit for at least an hour and a half for you to start making that a habit. Yeah, mature students, you're out of school, organize your study time in such a way that you can sit quietly for an hour and a half without moving. So you have your water, you have your snack, you have whatever you need right around you. So if you don't need to move because behavior become habits. If you don't train yourself to sit for an hour and a half or to sit for 3 hours, when the exam time comes, it's going to be difficult for you to do that. 3 hours may sound like a lot, but trust me, it's really not a lot when you're doing a structured question paper. All right. So I hope nobody is scared, nobody is afraid of all the information that you got. I actually hope that you could see that studying POA online or studying POA on a whole is doable, right? I hope that you see that, hey, I could graduate with my 1s and my 2s, I could pass this exam, I could do this. I'm about to jump into, a little bit more meat, but before we jump in this fancy yellow car here and get moving, I want to tell you a little bit about my why. And our why is so important because it helps keep us motivated, right? I did tell you guys I'm a life coach, right? I'm not just an accountant. Understanding your why could propel you and to help you keep moving. So my why did I start to do accounts? One, I started doing accounts because circumstances, a few things happened and I was not able to go and do computer engineering. So I studied maths at math sciences and I really wanted to go and do computer engineering. However, life had it that, a few things happened. I wasn't able to go do computer engineering. And I like maths. I love maths, right? So I say, what is the next best thing that I could do that's going to involve a lot of numbers? And accounts came up. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is I always like business, right? So I actually had plans of opening my own computer shop and building computers and all that. And because I like business, I heard so many horror stories about people handling their money and people outsmarting you. I decided, you know what? I need to know how to manage my own finances. I need to know how to interpret financial statements so nobody can outsmart me. And yeah, the rest was history. I started doing POA, then I started ACCA, and it took off from there. You know, when it got difficult, I had to remember, you know what, Makita, you don't want nobody to outsmart you with your money, so push through and then you would. And that is the power of your why. So if you don't have a why, sit and think about it. Why am I doing this? Write it in the front of your notebook so you could always look at it over and over again. I did ask a few persons, if you came on late, I did ask persons to share what is their why, and someone did. So we're going in. What is accounting? This is a key term, right? And I want you guys you can screenshot this. I will send you worksheets, but you can still take little notes as we go along. At the end, if you have any questions, we could always go over it, right? So what is accounting? Accounting is the recording, selecting, classifying, and summarizing of financial data in a way which provide the owners of businesses and other people with useful information to help them assess performance and plan for future activities. Let me just go over that again. Accounting is a few things. It's actually a process. There's a cycle. So it's recording, selecting, classifying, and summarizing of financial data or information. So, and you're going to do that in a way that is going to provide the owners of the businesses, right? Because we're going to be doing accounting in a business, either your own business or somebody else's business. So you're going to provide the owners of businesses and other people. We're going to talk about some of the other people who would want this information later on, with useful information so that they can help, so that they can assess performance and plan for future activities. And that right there is the main purpose of accounting. People want you to do their accounts, or we do accounting so that we could give owners and users of the accounting information, assistance. We could give them direction. We could help them assess performance. We could say, okay, the business is doing good, the business is not doing good, and they can also plan for future activities, right? What is POA? Well, I believe most of you guys will know what POA is, but I don't want to just give you the meaning of the acronym POA, which is Principle of Accounts, right? Some people, you will be surprised. Some people who not doing a POA, and for persons who doing law, POA actually means the power of attorney. But you guys on today, you would know POA is Principle of Accounts, not the power of attorney, right? POA is also a good start. It's a good starting point if you want to go and do advanced finance and economics and you want to continue studying along the accounting field, right? It's also an introduction to the underlying principles. Remember, the name is Principle of Accounts, right? So it covers most of the principles, the rules, the guidelines, the concepts, or even the foundation, which must be a guide for accountants in preparing financial statements. And these principles are known as Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, or GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. So the POA syllabus is an introduction, is a foundation. It covers the rules and the guidelines that will guide accountants. And it actually puts you in a very pretty good space. It covers a lot of information. And helps guide accountants so that they can prepare accounts or financial statements. All right. So I have some things in red here. Remember, I did talk about going over information. So when you think about what is accounting, if all you leave today with is what is accounting, what is the purpose of accounting actually, is to provide information to help assess performance and to plan for future activities. At the end of this class, if I ask what is accounting, you guys should be able to tell me what it is. If you can remember the whole recording, selecting, classifying, at least you should know what is the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to provide information to help assess performance and plan for future activities. Right? I have a picture here. So I gave you what is POA in terms of words. I want you to see it in terms of a picture now. When somebody asks you what is POA, you should be able to see this picture in your mind. So GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, is rules, standards, and procedures, right? And the rules, standards, and procedures, or any rules, standards, or procedures are guides to help us do something. Okay, we have more students on than mature, we have more Form 4 and Form 5 students on than mature people. So I'll try to use examples that you could relate to. So for instance, rules at home is actually, principles or standards or even procedures that your parents would have to try and keep you safe, or even to teach you discipline and perseverance and stuff like that. The rules and principle of accounts is to help guide us when we prepare financial statements for business owners, for ourselves, etc. Right? Let me know if you understand that. If you have any questions, just write it down. So when I ask a little later, any question and answer section, you can ask a question. Yeah? So generally accepted accounting principles. These are rules and standards. We can't just do as we want as accountants, because if we have to compare information, if we have to compare anything, there shouldn't be too many variables. There must be constants, right? Some things must stay the same so that we can really have credible information to compare. And on the top left hand here, I have a race. You guys should know Usain Bolt. And in this race, or in any race, they're actually comparing to see who could cover the distance at the fastest time. With POA, or with financial statements, persons compare to see if they are profitable, if they're making losses. With the races, what they tend to do is they keep the length of the race the same. So you have 100 meter, 200 meter, 800 meter, right? As if they measuring if they want to see the speed, if they're comparing speed, they're going to keep the distance the same. There are other types of race where they keep the distance different and they measure other things. But I'm just making it as basic as possible. A regular 100 meter or 800 meter race, the distance is the same. They tend to keep the age. Age is basically the same. So they may have under 15, under 13, under 18, under 21, right? So they have a group there. I'm seeing we would have to come back in about 10 minutes. So we will take a break in about 10 minutes. You guys could just click the link to come back in to the Zoom room. Talking about comparison, I have these two young ladies on the right. If you're into makeup, you would know Arlene Villarule. In makeup competitions, what they do, they would keep the look the same. So you're going to use the same color lipstick, you're going to use the same color eyeshadow, you're going to use the same palettes. They're measuring to see who could do their face the best. Not using any and every colors or any and every palette. They're using specific colors, specific makeup palettes, specific brands, right? Because they want to keep something constant. If you notice, they both have the same color eyeshadow, they both basically have the same color lipstick on, but based on skin tone and stuff, it could look a little bit different. I'm saying all this to drive home the point that as accountants, we can do whatever we want. There are rules, there are standards for us to follow, and principle of accounts give us the rules and the standards for us to follow. If you go further on in your studies, you're going to get a few more, but POA covers quite a lot, right? You guys could screenshot this. Feel free to share it on your social media platforms. Let persons know that you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're studying, and I'm using everyday life instances and stories to help you understand. Now, before we go to the break, because we're going to the break just now, all right? Before we go to the break, I want to show you two questions. And the one to the top is actually a past paper question. And this is how they bring the questions. So I just gave you over 30 minutes of information. That information has to be applied. Right? So we don't want to just be users of information, storing up information and not applying it. Your exams will give you an opportunity to apply the information that you learn. So let's look at this question here before we go on a break. Each of the transaction, this is January 2020. This is a question that they just asked. January 2020, paper 2, question 4. It says, each of the transactions below violates an accounting principle. State the concept or the principle that is being violated. Now, you as an accountant, or you studying POA, you have to be able to know the accounting principles and the standards, and we will cover them during the period from now until the 28th of August, right? We will cover some. So it asks us what accounting principles are being violated. Let's look at the first one. Mr. Peter paid the water bill for his private home and recorded it as a business expense. That is a violation. And these are things that business owners do all the time. Ian, he's a receivable. He's somebody who owes the company money or the business money, is unable to pay due to bankruptcy. And the business is likely to lose $8,000. Management refuses to create provision for doubtful debts or to write off the amount as a bad debt. That is also a violation. So this is how they test the generally accepted accounting principles. They will give you scenarios and you now have to be able to say, okay, this is that principle, this is that rule, this is that standard, right? Let me know if you guys are understanding that. In the multiple, and this is structured. In multiple choice, they're gonna ask you something like this one below here. Accounting may be defined as, and they give you 4 options. You now have to go in and pick out which one is the correct definition for accounting. So is it using journals, which is A? Is it using journals, ledgers, and control systems to classify and sort financial information? Yeah, that's part of it, but that's not the whole thing. D actually gives us the full definition. It's recording, classifying, presenting, and communicating financial information to help with decision making. They didn't say assess performance and help with planning, but assessing performance and helping with planning, all that is covered under decision making. So this is how they're going to test. I said a few things. This is how they're going to test it, and I'm showing you how important it is to watch over the video, for you to do questions, for you to understand the basics. Don't wait until the end, then to try to cram. Every session is going to be important, and every session there are going to be things that you need to take away. Okay, so we're going on a break now. After this, it's your turn to sound off any comments, right? Share your feedback about the session thus far. We are 36 minutes in. Share your feedback about the session so far. Let me know if I'm going at a good pace, so when I come back in, I can go a little bit slower if you need me to go a little bit slower. Let me know in the comments or in the chats if you're enjoying the session, right? Also, please tell me what is one of the things that you're going to take away from the session so far. So I've been talking for the last 30 minutes. There must be something that you will take away from the session thus far. And I also want to know, you can answer any one of these questions, you can answer all. I also want to know, based on the information that I shared, how do you feel? Do you feel confident about doing online classes with me or with anybody else? Do you feel that you could study online and pass POA? Right, so you guys share in the chat box and let me know on any one of these things. Am I going at a good pace? Are you enjoying this thing? You know, what it is you're going to take away? Do you feel confident about studying online, and do you feel confident about studying online and passing your subjects, or particularly POA? All right, so let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let's see. It's important for you guys to give me feedback so I can know how I can pivot, how I can tailor going forward.